marriage is nothing but enduring things. Enduring happy things. It's not all sad.
Yeah.
But you are enduring so much in that journey of marriage, because you know what makes it so difficult in enduring in marriage is because you're constantly changing.
Welcome back to the podcast, A Journey Worth Traveling. You already know what time it is. It is time to hop back into the part 2 of climbing the mountain of enduring. Now, before we head over, I just got a little quick ask. I need you to show some love for our amazing Sherpa, Jessica, in the comments below, because in part 1, she left us with a lot of souvenirs. But in part 2, let me just say, she doubled down on the vulnerability. And because of the way that she continued to show up on this trip, because of that, we have so many more souvenirs to collect. And I know because of her story that there is going to be so many people fueled and empowered by it. But it's never easy telling your story. It's never easy taking people through those valleys or discussing those difficult truths and all the things that you've had to endure, but she showed up. So now I hope that you are ready to collect those souvenirs and continue up the mountain of enduring. For you, what are the tools that you have found to be the best things that have allowed for you to endure and stay the course?
Yeah, this may sound cliche, but I think the number one tool is your mindset. That's been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Because your mind is tricky.
It is.
Your mind is
Girl.
tricky. And I'm gonna mess up this scripture, but one of them is talks about like concentrate on whatever is just, whatever is true, and it essentially is telling you to concentrate your mind on the good things, the positive things.
Yeah.
And for a long time, positive things scared me. It was almost like I was able to affirm the negatives, but not affirm the positives. And so for me, the mindset when you are enduring has been very important to me.
Yeah.
Because you have to have the mindset of, this too shall pass.
Yep.
This too shall pass. And so if you don't have that mindset, you have people that are enduring childhood trauma as an adult because they never shift their mindset. And so for me, the biggest thing for enduring anything is your mindset. You have to be able to say to yourself, this too shall pass.
Yep.
You have to have an open mind, like I mentioned before, to say, what am I supposed to be learning through enduring this at this moment? So mindset is important. And you mentioned patience. I wrestle with that word so much because patience has been a journey for me. But I think that when I look back over all the times that I had to endure things, even the endurement with myself, I had to be patient with myself. Because I had to be patient to say, you have been this way for so long.
Yes.
And now you're entering in and you're expecting to just, like when I started the journey of enduring myself, I used to get mad when I respond to things in a way that I always respond. Like I would expect for me to just, like, why did you respond that way, Jessica? Then I had to realize you got to be patient with this thing.
Yep.
You gotta allow the change to happen. You can't just
let patience have its perfect way.
Yes, you gotta let patience have its perfect way. Nothing is gonna change like that.
It was a threading process, so there's going to be an unthreading process that you have to give yourself grace for.
You have to give yourself grace for.
It's an unvetting process, just like it was a threading process.
Absolutely. And that would be my third thing, grace. I think patience and grace go hand in hand, but you have to have grace in knowing that, whatever is happening to you is happening for you for a reason. And whatever you are enduring, you have to understand there may be a reason behind that. There may be a purpose behind that.
Yep.
So you have to have grace. Grace to allow yourself to feel it.
Yep.
grace to allow yourself to sit in it, grace to allow yourself to hurt from whatever endurance you may be going through. So I would say the top 3 things for me, or tools, as you say, would be your mindset, the patience, and the grace.
Yeah. No,
You
I
need
love
those
that.
during enduring.
You
When you think about climbing up the mountain, when you used that metaphor earlier, right?
Yeah.
Your mindset. If you're climbing up the mountain and you're like, oh my God, I got 5 more feet to go. Like,
How long is this gonna be?
is this mountain?
Yeah,
I'm never gonna. Your mindset is you have already defeated yourself.
Yep.
So you would never make it if you don't have the patience to keep trucking while you're enduring climbing up. You also never gonna make it.
Yep.
If you don't have grace on yourself, your body may get weak. You may get tired. You need to allow yourself a break.
Ooh, that's
you
so
need
good.
to you need to rehydrate yourself.
Yep.
So you need that grace.
Yep.
You need all of that to endure it, or else you would give up before you even started.
No, those are so good. J. Crew, if you are enjoying this trip and you have not already, I would love for you to like and subscribe so that you never miss a trip and we can continue to grow our community. Now, back to this trip. Back to your point when I was thinking about, okay, so Kat, like, what do you need to make it up the mountain, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I love hiking.
Okay.
So I'm going to take, like, the literal things that when I hike, the things that I absolutely need.
Absolutely.
So, like, I can't have no bowl shoes on.
No.
I have to have shoes that are hiking shoes.
Yes.
I need that support.
Prepared. You got to be prepared. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be prepared. And I need like those supportive shoes. So I need that support, right? Now, whether that is like support from friends or like this internal support that I'm giving myself.
Yeah.
And then I have to have my water, right?
Yep.
Like, because you get tired, you get exhausted along the way, and you have to have that water. So that for me is like my fuel. And so it's like, what is ultimately like fueling you? What is ultimately feeding you?
Yes.
And for me, that's showing up as these different like positive things that I can apply, whether that is journaling, whether that is reading books, whether that is meditation, like all of those things. And then for me, of course, like music too, which, like, but it goes back, I think for me,
it's
like,
your mindset.
It's your mindset.
Yeah,
it's your mindset.
ready.
It's getting my mind primed for what this journey, what this trip is about to look like. And really, again, like you said, having this patience, having this grace with yourself, because it ultimately comes down to this belief.
Yes.
This belief that I'm worth it, and this belief in terms of whatever your faith looks like.
Yes.
Now, my faith, like, again, I track with you. I roll up to God. But whether that's faith in yourself, just alone, my faith is both. It has to,
you need both.
I need both.
Yeah,
you
you do.
And so, like, those are definitely, like, the tools that have helped me to get through the climb and the enduring. And then one of the things that has been extremely helpful is just, like, writing down what those experiences look like marking these different moments. And then the great thing about marking the moments is like you're able to really go back and reflect.
That's a good one. I remember a moment where I was enduring like job loss. Remember I told you I got let go from a job. It was one of the most vulnerable situations that happened in my life. But when you talk about tracking, when they let me go, I went to a CVS and I bought myself a congratulations card.
Oh, okay, I love that. I
rode in my car right now. I got let go from a job. I was so devastated, but but in that moment I said,
I love that, Jessica.
Okay, here I am enduring hurt. Here I am enduring pain from being let go from this job. So I have 2 options. I could sit and be sorry for myself, or I can already be seeing what could be my next step for me.
Yeah.
So I brought myself a CVS card, and it said congratulations. And in the inside, I wrote in there, today you were let go. Congratulations on your next journey, because it's going to be amazing.
I love
that.
So
for me, I was already in the mindset of, okay, this happened to me.
Yep.
But I'm going to get through it.
But you're going to get through it.
But I'm going to get through it. And I kept that car on my desk it took a year and a half for me to get another position. But I kept that car on my desk the whole time I was enduring job loss.
Yeah.
And it was moments that I would just cry, and I would keep getting told no, and I'll go back to that card.
Yeah.
The card was like, something gonna open up.
I love that.
It was a reminder. It was a reminder that you are going to get through it.
You are.
You are going to get through it. And so I think one of the biggest things of when you are enduring anything, like you said, is reaffirming yourself that you are going to get through it.
You know what I love that you did? Like, you celebrated yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's the one thing that we don't do enough. Whether we're enduring, whether we're on the climb, whether we're even at the top of our mountain, we're so ready to get to the next thing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, the next thing.
Yes.
And it's like, we don't necessarily celebrate where we're at in this particular season, and we do ourselves such a disservice. So the fact that you found yourself to be at a low, and you were like, I'm going to celebrate myself in this moment. Like, I love the fact that you did that, because we don't do that enough in general.
No.
But the fact that you permitted yourself to do that in that space, like that, Jessica, is like, oh my goodness. Like, I really love that. And I hope that, like, we all can just do that more, is just celebrate ourselves even at
the worst.
Even at the worst.
Even at the worst.
Even at the worst.
Even at the worst, because it's there to teach you.
Yep.
It's there to mold you. So you have to learn. You got to celebrate those moments.
So what has enduring taught you about yourself? What has it taught Jessica about Jessica?
Such a good question. I think enduring has taught me. Wow, that's an amazing question.
I think, like, so for me, like, what enduring constantly teaches me is just how strong I am. You know, like, enduring constantly teaches me, like, Kat, you got this. You know, like, you.
So it reaffirms that you're gonna make it, that you have the strength.
That I have the strength. That I have the capacity. That I have the bandwidth to keep going. It reaffirms me every single time. Like, when I get on the other side, like, I'm so proud of myself for not stopping, for not settling. Like, that is one of the things that, like, I pride myself. It's like, if you ask me, like, Kat, give a sentence about yourself, I would say, I don't stop and I don't settle.
Oh, I love it.
And enduring has taught me that.
Enduring has taught you that.
Enduring has taught me that.
I love that. I think enduring has taught me that I'm going to always, similar to you, I'm going to always fight. I have been a fighter from the moment I came out of my mama's womb. No one can outwork me. And so for me, enduring has taught me that I can fight. I trust myself to know that whatever come my way, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
I trust myself to know that I can endure whatever come that way. And I'm scared to say that because I don't want God to be like, for real?
Oh, for real? So you said you ready to endure, huh?
I'm not putting that out there. I'm not putting that out there, Father. But yeah, I think enduring has taught me that. It has taught me that I am equipped. I am prepared.
Yeah. He put it all
and
inside
I have
of you.
whatever I need.
That's all she's saying, guys.
Yeah.
She's just saying you put it inside of her.
Yes.
Yes. She just said she know what you put inside of her.
Yes. I know what is inside of me, and I know that I am equipped to handle whatever come my way.
You know, it was funny that you said that. You're like, oh God, but you know,
because I'm a master of words too.
Listen, because I was having this conversation with somebody, and I was like, I mean, who wants a friction-free life?
Yes.
You know, like, but I do, like, you have to have that resistance in order to be able to build up that strength, right? And I just love the analogy of, you can go in the gym and you can do 5, you know what I'm saying? You can pick up some 5-pound weights, right? And it's going to build you a certain level of strength. But then you go back in there and you start working with them 25s and you start working with them 30s and you keep building up and you keep building up that strength. And that's what
you're pushing it.
And you pushing it, and that's what the road of enduring, that's what the climb of enduring continues to show you, and it continues to affirm to yourself. It's like, no, you are strong, and look how strong you are getting.
Yes.
Like, look at those muscles, girl.
Yeah, like look at that.
You looking real tone, sis. Yeah, that's because I've been enduring.
I've been enduring. Welcome to endurance.
Welcome to enduring. So for you, like, you're a mom and you are a wife. Like, how has enduring supported you in those roles?
Woo! All right, so I'll say there's two things that I endured that has been the hardest for me.
Okay.
Myself and being a wife. And so what's interesting about that question is I didn't realize that I needed to endure myself until I became a wife. Because I realized,
What does that look like?
I realized the way that I responded to things in a marriage was because of lack of worthiness to myself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So because I didn't take the time to, people say you got to know yourself before you get married. Well, I did all of that at once. I was learning myself. I was learning marriage, and I also was learning how to be a mom. When I walked down the aisle, I was 6 months pregnant. So it was like all at once. I was enduring all of those titles at once. And so I think that the question of like, how has enduring myself allowed me to be a mom and wife? I would have to say when I realized that I needed to endure myself because I responded in a marriage that was starting to be unhealthy due to lack of self. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I hope people track it. It's a lot to unpack.
No.
It's a lot to unpack. But I realized that the trajectory of our marriage was in an unhealthy space due to lack of self-awareness and lack of knowing thyself. Yes. I realized that in order to make a marriage work, I have to spend some more time with myself while I'm in the marriage, right? Because so for me, I'm trying to unpack it all at once, but for me, just so I could give some context to what I'm saying about unhealthy, I will respond to love in a way of fighting. I fought against love. Love to me looked like dysfunction. Love to me looked like hurt. Love to me looked like pain. Because that's how I loved myself.
I listen.
So for me, I responded to love in that way, right? And so when I didn't know how to accept it, you know what I mean? And so it was so hard for me to accept love. I just wanted to fight against it. And then I had to say, dang, like, what is wrong? Sis, what is wrong? And our marriage had got to a place where it was so unhealthy that I had to take a step back and say, let me endure myself for a moment. Let me understand why I feel like I gotta fight for love too. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't even know if I answered your question.
You answered my question. So we're going to stop and explore that because it takes me back. So we took this trip in terms of like self-discovery, but it goes back to that. Like what you're saying is I had to discover myself. And in discovering myself, I had to endure myself because there are some ugly truths there.
Yes.
And in order to be able to tell somebody how I want to be loved, in order to be able to love somebody, I have to first love myself.
Absolutely.
Genuinely.
Yes. Like, and I have to even know what that means.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And so I absolutely track with you because yes, I mean, like, that's why the journey of self-discovery is so important. But to your point, like adding the endurance piece, as you're on that journey, like with any journey, you have to, there is that enduring part that comes into play, right? Because it is a climb. It is not easy. It is work. It is hard as fuck.
Oh my God.
You know, like it is a whole just process in itself. To your point, like you're constantly finding out things that you may not have liked about yourself. You're having to audit things. You're having to take responsibility and accountability. And that is a process.
That's a process.
And you got to give yourself grace, but then at the same time, you got to hold yourself accountable because
Yes.
you can't sit up there and make excuses.
Yeah.
Right? Because the whole point is that I'm trying to get better.
Yes.
And if I'm constantly making excuses, what am I learning?
Yes. But imagine enduring all of that while also trying to maintain a marriage.
Yeah.
While also trying to be a good mom. It got to a point where I told my husband, and you know, I was like, babe, you know, I need some grace from you. Because, and I also need to be honest with you, because I thought that marriage would bring me a sense of happiness and peace that it didn't. Now I have to endure that and explore that with myself to unpack that. And while I'm doing that, I may seem distant. You know, I may not seem here, but I need you to allow some grace with me while I explore some uncomfortable truths about my enduring myself so that I can show up better as your wife and I can show up better as a mom. You know what I mean? And so that was some hard shit.
But you know, I think what you said there, like what was showing up in that process of enduring was communication.
Yeah.
And honesty.
Yeah.
And this vulnerability and this transparency with him.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's like so in that, like that communication was so key, but then that honesty, like of this is where I'm at, like that's like to your point, like that is so hard sometimes to be honest with ourselves and then try to be honest with somebody else. Like to tell them like, yeah, this is where I'm at, you know what I'm saying, like I'm not, you know what I'm saying, like maybe I'm not I need to figure out who I am. You know what I'm saying, like I need to take a moment, I need to take a beat here, and I need you to be supportive in that. And it's just like that communication is just everything.
It is.
And that's why that's why they 10 years down, y'all. They 10 years
we
down.
Just celebrated 10 years.
They just celebrated 10 years. And I don't care what you say, she about to be mad at me.
Don't say goals. Don't call us no goals. I am not.
She gonna be mad at me. She gonna be mad at me for saying. But honestly, like again, it's like we have to celebrate. I know y'all celebrate it.
Yes.
But I need to celebrate you in this moment because like y'all have endured.
Yes.
Y'all have endured something. 10 years is something to celebrate. And that's what I'm saying. We don't celebrate ourselves enough. So I'm going to celebrate you in this moment. I am going to say that is goals because that's not easy.
No. That's
not easy.
That's not easy. I always say that, man, marriage is probably the hardest shit I've ever done.
That requires
marriage requires such an area of vulnerability that I don't like being vulnerable. Now, it's hard for me to be vulnerable with myself, but with somebody else, that is hard. And marriage requires you to be so vulnerable if you want a healthy marriage.
Yeah. Because you can't fight. You can't be vulnerable and be fighting.
You cannot be. Yes. They don't go hand in hand. You have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And marriage has really challenged me in that way to be so vulnerable and so honest, so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And marriage in this, you talk about enduring something. Yeah. Marriage is all enduring. That shit is enduring because there's moments, right, where you two are just not making each other happy, or there's moments where you just not jiving with that person. There's not just all bliss in a marriage.
Yeah.
So you are constantly enduring through marriage, like. All right, I'm not feeling him right now. She not feeling me, but I'm going to endure anyway. Marriage is nothing but enduring things. Enduring happy things. It's not all sad.
Yeah.
But you are enduring so much in that journey of marriage because you know what makes it so difficult in enduring in marriage is because you're constantly changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the part about enduring in marriage that makes it so difficult.
And y'all got married at a younger age.
We got married at a young age.
So it's like to your point, like you're still discovering yourself.
You're still discovering yourself. And so like I said, I didn't even realize that I needed to endure myself until I got married. So now I'm like self-discovering myself, trying to endure this marriage, trying to endure being a mom all at one time. That was some difficult mess right there.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that that's what makes enduring through marriage difficult, is because who you met when I was 20, 22, 23, 24 years old is completely different. Now I have to recommunicate my needs.
Mm-hmm.
Now that little girl that you met that had low self-esteem, wasn't worthy, talked down on herself, she's different.
Yeah.
Now you have to know how to love me.
This version.
Yeah.
This
you know
version.
what I mean? You have
this
to now you have to show up for who I am.
Yep.
I'm sorry, and I had to say that. I said, I'm sorry I didn't know who I was. And I'm sorry I led you to believe that I could be treated this way. But now I need to be treated this way.
I need you to show up.
I need you to show up for me in this way.
Yeah.
And he has to do the same thing for me. Like, I need you to show up in this way. But if you don't endure and learn to talk through those moments, you just give up.
Yeah.
You just give up. And so I think the biggest thing you asked me, I'm trying to bring it home. I think you asked me, how has enduring allowed me in marriage and as a mom? It has taught me that while you are enduring anything, whether it's in marriage, whether you're a mom, whether it's in your career, you have to communicate through that process to yourself, to others, and you have to be honest, right? You have to be very honest.
I so track with you there. I want to first hit on the part in terms of, you talked about, because as fighters, how hard enduring is, or how hard being vulnerable is with somebody. Because as fighters, that's all about adding layers of protection.
Yes.
Right? If I'm a fighter, if I'm a warrior, I got my shield on. You know what I'm saying? I got the armor on. You know what I'm saying? I have arms. Being vulnerable is all about peeling back all these different layers.
And that is hard.
That is a whole hard.
that is a whole hard.
Because now, I've spent so much time building up this armor as protection, and now you're asking me to literally take it all off.
Yeah.
And that requires so much.
That requires so much.
That requires so much. And it also, going back to you just enduring yourself, being comfortable with yourself, to be like, you know what? I am going to remove all these layers.
Yeah.
Because I know myself, I love myself, and I'm going to show up as myself and for myself. And either you rock with it or you don't.
Yep.
Either you rock with it or
And when you
don't.
get to that moment, it's so freeing.
It is.
It's so freeing. But I must say, once you remove your layers, that is not to say you won't get hurt again.
Yep.
You get hurt in a marriage. You know what I mean? They say the people closest to you hurt you the most. Mm-hmm. That's who you spending your life with. Mm-hmm. Your friends are who you spending your life with. You're going to get hurt by those people, and it's not intentionally.
It's not intentional.
Sometimes the hurt is needed. Yeah. Sometimes the hurt is because it's a truth behind something.
Right.
Whatever. So it's not to say once you remove your layers, you're free from pain or you're free from hurt.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful once the hurt shows up again. You don't rearm yourself.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Don't undo the work that you've done.
Yes. Don't undo the work that you've done.
Yeah.
You have to continue to live in a space of vulnerability with the people that deserves it.
Yeah.
We don't go around just being vulnerable with anyone.
Right.
But like you said, because we are fighters, I came into marriage like you gonna have to zip all of this off. You know what I mean? I came into marriage so hard. Just so hard because I had been used to being let down. So my story was, you ain't gonna let me down.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Nope. I'm prepared.
Yeah.
And what enduring has taught me is that it takes you to a place of vulnerability. And you got to remove it.
You do.
You got to remove those layers or else you will go through the world fighting.
Yeah.
And while you do need to fight sometimes.
Yeah.
Everything no cause for a fight. Everything not a fight, And so I had to learn that. And I had to understand that.
But I think back to your point in terms of when you were saying what has been one of the key things to allow you all to successfully endure is the communication.
Yeah.
Right? that is like just being able to communicate allows for you to just continuously be able to successfully endure.
Yes. Because we're
And-
going to keep enduring.
Yeah. But it's the communication. Like when I think about like the reason why like all relationships, the problem within any relationship, I don't care if it's a partnership, you know what I'm saying, a platonic friendship, whether it's a marriage, whether it's your relationship with your sister, your children, your boss, your coworkers, like a lot of problems come from the lack of communication.
Yeah.
And they can be solved with good communication.
Absolutely.
So it's like while I'm enduring in this process, like I need to communicate. I need to communicate and be open and be vulnerable. And enduring, I think it starts off as, like us surviving. But what's on the other side of it, the successful part is really thriving.
Yes.
Right? And so like to your point, like if I'm thriving, I can't be fighting.
Yes.
My way through everything.
Yeah.
Like to me, thriving, I was having this conversation with my sister and we were talking, I was just like, because she's at this point right now in her life where she is more vulnerable and she's more open, and so she was on the phone with me and she was crying. It was tears of joy, and she was like, "I'm just so sensitive in this chapter." And I said, "But listen, like exactly." That's why I said, "I love this on you, and I love this for you because to me, what it shows is that you're in this season of thriving because oftentimes, like." Especially as Black women, we feel like, we have to, we don't necessarily always have the luxury of being vulnerable because we've always had to be the backbone. We've always had to be the strength. We always had to be the strong one, but that goes back to survival.
Yes.
And so now that I'm in this thriving season or this thrive mode, I need to make sure that I am understanding that vulnerability and openness is not a weakness.
No,
it's all about
it's a strength.
It's a strength.
It's a strength. It's a strength. And I was laughing because I think I posted this on social media the other day, but I was my friend's birthday just passed, and I created a reel for her, one of those little birthday reels, and I rewatched it 5 times and I cried, and I was like, why am I crying? But it was me looking at our journey, our journey together and all that we have endured and experienced. And it just brought tears. And so when you say about celebrating your sister crying, I cry so much.
Girl, me too.
I cry.
Listen.
I cry so much.
It's cleansing though.
It's so cleansing to me. It's so cleansing to me. But I cry. I cry so much.
Yeah.
Like, I cry so much, but it's more so about, it's a happy moment for me that I am crying, whether it's sad or not, because it is showing me that I am safe with myself.
Yes, I love that.
And I am safe with being vulnerable.
Yep,
because there's been so many moments I would not cry.
Yeah.
Like, you can do whatever. Yeah. And it's like, you're not going to see no weak part of me. So now that when I cry, it's to me a sense of safeness.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
I caution when people say, I never see them cry. So then I caution, like, does that person feel safe with you? Because I feel like these are human emotions.
Right.
How are you not crying? Like, and I'm not saying you doing this every day because men gonna say men should cry, but that is a human emotion. Right. Crying is a human emotion. So you have to feel safe. I'm safe with myself to cry. I'll bust out in tears.
Girl.
In a minute.
Come on.
Minute. And it's okay. I'm that same person who will watch a romantic movie and know it's fake and a cry. You know what I mean? And it'd be like, that is so cute. They found each other. And my kids would be like, Ma, it's a movie. And I'm like, yes, because I'm safe with myself.
I love that.
I allow those emotions.
J. Crew, cry, knowing that you are safe with yourself. You are safe with yourself.
Now, if you can't cry with yourself, you got to explore that enduring yourself journey.
Explaining to do to yourself. You got
to be honest with yourself. And so I've allowed those emotions. I've allowed those moments where I need to step away and cry and be vulnerable with myself. But it's how I cleanse And it's a reminder to me that I'm human.
Yes.
And
Ooh,
I feel, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I walk them in, and I'm so happy you told your sister, like, I love this moment for you because now you're getting to the truths of who you are.
Yes.
Because you are welcoming emotions that you normally would run from.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that is a healing process.
It is.
For her or for anyone. So you got to welcome those moments.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
proud because you feel the same, girl.
Yes.
No, I absolutely love that. What's been one of the biggest tools that's kind of like helped you in terms of like just enduring the marriage? Like, so if there's somebody out there who, you know, is hitting kind of like a rough patch or what have you, what do you feel like has been you guys' like greatest tool?
That's an amazing question. Wow. I think one of the biggest tools for me, my husband may say something different, but I think one of the biggest tools was when we did go through rough patches, we did do couples therapy. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of men, because women for the most part are for therapy, but I know a lot of men sometimes are against it. What worked for us was getting a husband and a wife, right? So now you were able to hear from two perspectives. So therapy, I'm a big component of it, right? Because sometimes you just need external work or external understandings from others to understand how to cope with what each other are dealing with.
Yeah.
So therapy really did help us, and it was moments. I'll never forget. We were doing therapy, and it was during COVID, right? And so therapy was virtual, and trying to do a therapy virtual in couples is very hard.
Is it? Okay.
And it was one moment we were just going at it. I was like, no, we were screaming, and our therapists are on the phone like, calm down. Like, they're trying to like get us to like recenter ourselves through the screen. It was the most, we crack up about it to this day. But it was so funny trying to navigate that space. So therapy has been I'm a big component of it. Mm-hmm. Me too. And not just when something is wrong, right? Therapy is for maintenance too.
Therapy is for maintenance.
Therapist is for maintenance too. So not just when something is wrong. And then the second thing I would say is the open conversation to be honest with your spouse. Mm-hmm. Once I realized that I was very unhappy, I had got to a moment where I was so unhappy, so unfulfilled. And I don't know a lot of people talk about this, but also so jealous that he wasn't experiencing my emotions of unfulfilledness. Like, he was very secure and fulfilled, and it seemed like I was the only one that like was experiencing this. Yeah. I remember being so vulnerable and saying, I don't know what's wrong. Because sometimes we don't know. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know. I don't know why I'm experiencing this.
I love that.
So I need to do some more self-work, and I don't know how I'm gonna come out of this, but I honestly don't know what's wrong, but I honestly know something is wrong.
I love that.
And me being open to that and being open to express that to him, allow him to say, okay, when she react in a because sometimes I got really nasty out of just not knowing what was wrong. He was able to receive it differently. Like, okay, she's being nasty to me, but it's not because of me. Yeah. It's because she unhappy with herself right now.
She got something.
She got something else going on. So I'm gonna give my wife grace.
Yep.
To know that whatever she got going on is bigger than she and I. This is her and her.
Yeah.
And I can't interject that. Your spouse can't interject your internal issues. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so you have to be open and say, something is happening. And I got so vulnerable because I was so unhappy that I was like, babe, something happening with me. And I thought it was you, but it's something with me. I gotta figure this out. You gotta give me some time. Whew. And I'm happy that he gave me the grace that I needed in that moment. But that was a big moment for us.
Jessica, do you understand? Like, I mean, girl, people never get there.
No.
Like, people never get there. Like, so many times we feel like in order for us to be able to communicate something, we have to have it figured out.
Yes.
But what you said was, I don't got it. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. I'm committed to figuring it out.
Yes.
But I need you. But this is what I need it to look like while
Yes.
I'm figuring it out.
Yes.
Or I need you to know this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
You know, like we'll wait until we have it figured out and be like, okay, so this is what happened.
Yeah.
But then this whole time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the person don't know nothing
and now
that's
they
going
getting
on.
Disconnected from you.
Girl.
You moving further and further apart because you're not being vulnerable. I had no clue why I was so going through a moment of so much pain. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I couldn't understand it. Mm-hmm. And so I went through stages where I was like, it's you. You're not making me happy, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I came out of that, you know, talk about enduring. I came out of that. Then I went through resentment and jealousy that he wasn't experiencing the things that I was experiencing. So then I came out of that. And then finally I was like, I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah. Like, I don't even know why I'm here. But at this moment, I'm being very transparent. I had got so vulnerable where I was like, I don't want to be a mom anymore. I don't want to be a wife anymore. I don't want none of these titles. Mm-hmm. I don't want any of it. Mm-hmm. Because I don't understand why I am not happy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that was the moment that I was like, I got to take this endurement trip with myself. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not going to be no good to anyone. Yeah. And so I share with you when you say sometimes we wait till we have it figured out, but sometimes you don't know.
Sometimes you don't.
You don't know. You don't have all the answers. You know what I mean? And we are not equipped. We are not wired to always have all the answers. My little bedroom closet used to be my prayer closet, and I would go in that closet. I would shut the door, and I would just cry in my prayer closet. Mm-hmm. It would be moments that I didn't even know what to pray. So I just go in there and cry. And that was my prayer. Mm-hmm. You know, my tears were my prayers. Mm-hmm. And then I would come out and he'll say, you all right? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm all right. Mm-hmm. You know, but we had to go through it. Like we had to go through those moments of me being so down, so hurt, so just going through these moments of so much pain. Yeah. You know, and we had to endure it. He had to endure it. And he also, as a man, had to endure the fact that he didn't have a solution either. Mm-hmm. You know, wasn't no date gonna cure the pain that I was feeling with myself. Yeah. No gift was gonna cure that. No flowers. He could not solve that for me. Mm. And so we had to endure that, and we had to understand what that looked like. And so that was I think when you asked me like what are the two biggest things. One, it was therapy, and two, it was the open, honest, and vulnerable communication. Yeah. You know what I mean? To just say, I'm experiencing it. I'm experiencing this. This is where I'm at, and I don't have an answer, but this is how I need you to show up. I just need grace. Yeah. I just need grace.
So I have to ask you, I've experienced, you know, just being at this incredible low, and I know that we all on the journey, like we all get to them valleys. Yeah. So when you were experiencing that low, how did you get yourself out of that? Like what did that process look like for you?
So I prayed a lot. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I turned my closet into like I call it like a prayer closet. And I would go in there, and in months I didn't even pray. I just cried. I also journaled a lot. Mm-hmm. I journaled a ton. And sometimes it'll be 2 sentences. Sometimes it'll be 3 pages. Mm-hmm. But I journaled so much. But then I started to ask myself very tough questions. Mm-hmm. Because I realized that a lot of my pain and hurt was very trauma-based, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, in order to get through, I had to understand the why behind it. I had to understand why I didn't allow love in my life. I had to understand why fighting was always my answer to things, my default to things. I had to understand why I felt like I was unworthy to happiness. Mm-hmm. So I started Googling like journal prompts. Mm. And it was like, I think I Googled like personal journal prompts or self-reflection journal prompts. And a lot of the questions took you back to your childhood. A lot of questions took you back to where you are today. And I started Googling journal prompts, and I started writing. I started going in my prayer closet and praying. And it's still a journey, right? I don't have it all figured out at all.
It's a tending to process.
Yes, I don't have it all figured out, but what I do know is that I am worthy to be happy.
Yeah.
And I am worthy a sense of stillness and peace that I don't have to work hard for.
Yeah.
And what I came out of it, I realized, because we talked about this when we opened up, because I have always had to work hard for everything. When it became a moment where I had things and I no longer had to do work, that shit was hard. Yeah. I'm like, I could just be. This is weird.
Yeah. You say, I don't got to fight?
I don't have to fight? That was weird to me.
Yeah.
And so I realized where it all stemmed from. But to answer your question, I got out through journaling, prayer, and I cried so much. I cried so much, and I still cry. I'm about to cry right now. I still cry, but it's safe for me, And so I really had to ask myself questions. And so when you are in those moments where you just don't have an answer of why, I channel people to start asking yourself questions. And the questions become uncomfortable. But you have to know the root. If you don't know the root to why you are feeling something, you can't move past it. You know what I mean? And so I had to know the root of where it came from. And that really helped us in our marriage. Is really just being honest about what I was feeling and being vulnerable. And I challenge him to do that too, because sometimes black men, they endure so much.
Yeah.
And they don't say nothing. And so what it allowed me to do by being vulnerable, it allowed him to be okay with sharing things he didn't like. And I'll never forget, this is another trip, but I'll never forget him telling me one time, we were just having a big vulnerable conversation, and he was just like, "You're not a nice person. I don't like being around you." That hurt me to the core. Because I was nice everywhere else. I was nice at work because I had to be. When I was with my homegirls, I was nice because my friends have been through so much with me. But at home, I would armor myself. I would put my armor on when I walked through the door because I didn't want to be vulnerable at home. Right? I didn't want to let it was like the one area I still had my guard up. And I didn't want to let that guard down at home. And it sounds weird, but that was the one space that I wanted to stay strapped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, this a little piece of me I got
because
left.
That's the one thing that, I feel like the things that can hurt us the most, those are the things we stay strapped for.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's because you know how much you love this person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's this one person,
that can
take you out.
That can take me out.
She can take you out.
That can take me out.
This can take me out, so I gotta stay. When you a fighter, you know what I'm saying? But this is that one person. They can, you know what I'm saying? They can take a nigga out.
They can take me out. They can have me laying on my back.
So I gotta stay locked and low. So I absolutely
gotta stay locked and loaded. So I was so guarded and so strapped there that when he told me, he was like, I just don't, I don't like being around you. You're not as nice as you portray yourself to be, because you are everywhere else but home. And I had to sit with that. And I think sometimes when our spouses tell us things about ourselves, we dismiss it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to sit with that.
Endured it.
I had to endure what he was telling me, and then ask myself, is there truth to this? And then say, you know what, there's some truth to this. Now let me unpack this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to sit with that. So to answer your question, when you are enduring rough patches in marriages, you need an outlet for yourself, whether that's journaling, whether that's prayer, whether that's crying. It is not your friends. It is not your family. It is not places to just go vent. It is an outlet for yourself to understand yourself, to go intuitive with yourself. It is not a venting session with other people. Yeah. That is not going to solve problems. And you also need to be open and receive what your spouse is saying. Because sometimes there's truth to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
and so I had to sit with that and really understand, like why does he feel this way? And why am I showing up in the one space where I'm supposed to be the most safe and secure? Why am I showing up fully armored?
Yeah.
But I take it off everywhere else. But here I'm walking through the door suited and booted, you know? And so I had to be open to that conversation. And I think the reason marriages don't get past that rough spot is because people don't want to sit in that space of enduring.
Yeah. Or being uncomfortable. Like, to hear that about yourself, like you said, like, that was so uncomfortable
Very
for
uncomfortable.
you, right?
Very uncomfortable.
And so it's like, I have to have the patience to endure that uncomfortability, that uncomfortable moment. Like, I have to have the patience with myself in order to be able to endure that, sit in what is making me so incredibly uncomfortable, because that is the truth. You know what I'm saying? To some extent, that I need to unpack. I need to unpack.
Yeah.
And I mean, it says, but it also shows, like, but I'm willing to endure.
Yes.
I'm willing to endure because this is purposeful to me.
Yes.
Because this is meaningful to me. This is worth enduring.
Yes.
Like, this is somebody who I love. And so, yeah, we need to have some conversations and everything like that. But going back to, like, that's why you remembering your why is so important.
Yes.
Because that shit gets hard. You know what I'm saying? The enduring gets hard.
Yeah.
And so you gotta remember you gotta have a good why. You have to have a compelling why.
Yes.
Because that why is the thing that's gonna push you
to keep going.
To keep going.
Yep.
And so it's like, I can always go back to why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why I'm enduring this, why I'm sitting in this uncomfortable moment, why I'm trying to unpack this potential truth, like what that looks like, because this why is really important to me.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy for us to do that in our careers because the why is a means to an end, right?
Yep.
The why is our finances. The why is helping us fund the life we want. So because if you think about enduring, we endure a lot of shit at work. So you endure things at work, but you keep enduring it at work because the end goal or the why is a means to an end to support the lifestyle that you want.
Yeah.
So you keep enduring there, but you don't take that same mindset home.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Like, why are we willing to endure for those types of things, or the things that are not as substantive, the things that don't necessarily always give us the best return, that aren't as valuable? Like, why are we willing to endure for those things, but we sometimes don't endure for the more meaningful and the more purposeful things?
Yeah, and I think that's because we don't spend, I hate to bring it back here, but I think it's because we don't spend enough time enduring ourselves to understand what is meaningful and purposeful.
That's it.
You know what I mean? If you are endured for a paycheck or you are endured for a salary because you need a roof over your head, you need growth, you need food. So it's something you can immediately see.
Survival.
There we go.
Survival.
It's survival.
We'll endure
enduring for your career becomes survival.
Yep.
But enduring for love, enduring for relationships, enduring for those type of things.
For your purpose. That's thriving.
Yep. And I want to be careful here. I had it in my notes when I say enduring for love. I am not saying stick around and be around through hurt and pain, abuse, infidelity. I want to be careful because I am not one of those that say you just endure anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But those weren't things we were experiencing. Those weren't our struggles. So I want to caution that there are moments where in enduring you pivot.
Yeah.
And you pivot because the relationship or whatever is no longer aligning with who you are and your values. So you do have to pivot sometime. But I'm saying when you are enduring moments in a marriage that is just a moment of unhappiness. A moment of hurt or a moment of, and it's not directly related to, abuse or things like that. You have to understand the end to it. And the end is thriving, right?
Yeah.
So we don't like to endure to thrive because we're not taught in the world that those are things that matter. You know what I mean? The things that matter is
survival. We don't, as Black people, let's just be honest, we didn't have that luxury.
We didn't have that luxury.
You know
what I mean? We didn't have that luxury.
It was about literally surviving.
It was about surviving. It was so funny, and when I was talking to my therapist during that time, every time my husband and I would get in an argument, I'll pack up my shit and leave. I'll pack the whole house. Like, I'll pack up my stuff and I'll be gone. Mm-hmm. And I'll go to my mom's for like a day or two. Mm-hmm. And my therapist, because I didn't feel like I needed to endure that. Mm-hmm. It was like, my mama was a single mom. She, this is not anything I have to endure. Mm-hmm. And I remember my therapist telling me, if you want this to work, Jessica, if you want this to work. Now, if you don't want this to work, keep doing that. Mm-hmm. If you want this to work, you cannot keep running from being uncomfortable when you are in situations that make you unhappy. You have to talk through it.
Yeah.
If you keep running every time he make you mad, you keep packing your stuff up, and you keep saying, I'm just going to leave, because that was me. I was team leaving.
Yeah.
This is over. I was that girl. I was like, this could be done today. And she was like, you got to stop. Mm-hmm. You got to stop. But for me, it was the survival kicking in. Mm-hmm. It was, this don't feel right. This is uncomfortable. Time to survive.
Yeah.
It's you and you.
Yep.
It's you and you, girl. You about to survive. So my survival traits would kick in throughout the marriage that I had to learn how to push back. Like, no, sis, we gonna thrive. We gonna endure through this. You
deserve that.
Because I deserve it.
You deserve that. Because you deserve love.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing. Like, so often when we're surviving, right, it's all about trying to make it to safety.
Yes.
And so when I look at like these, you know what I'm saying, we going up the mountain, right?
I love it. We
going up the mountain, but in order for us to go up to the mountain together, like, I have to feel safe going up the mountain with you. And I think that's like the important part in any kind of, whether it's a platonic relationship, whether it's a romantic, whether it's your husband,
your children,
whether it's your children,
that,
everything, like, you have to feel safe in order to be able to endure with this person.
Yeah. The only thing I challenge with that is, because that was me, I was like, I gotta feel safe. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest safety you need is with yourself.
That's so true. That's so true.
And so I had that mindset, like, he has to make me feel safe, and I don't feel safe. So because I don't feel safe, I'm not gonna share this, and this, and this.
That's so true. Yeah.
But then I had to pull the layer back there and say, my safety in another person is trauma based. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that is actually based out of trauma. Mm-hmm. Where if I'm safe with myself, I can express these moments of vulnerability with you. What you take and not take with the moment I express to you is fine, because I know with myself I'm safe.
Yeah.
I trust myself to know that. But me sharing this with you didn't take nothing away from me. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we are looking for safety in someone else. But honestly, if you're safe with yourself, your moment of vulnerability to someone else isn't taking something away from you. You know what I mean?
No.
Because you're secure with yourself. But I do think, like you said, I do think sometimes in whatever relationships, when someone is expressing a moment of being vulnerable with you, or a moment with you, you have to receive it in a way that you don't abuse it or misuse it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order for that person to continue to be in that space with you and share those moments with you.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that part.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I so track with you there. That safety has to first, I think everything has to first start with you.
Like, it flows from the inside out.
Let me say that. Like, in everything, whether it's like the enduring, whether it's the safety, it has to start internally.
Yeah.
But I think that when you are on this climb, this treacherous climb at times, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, you do want to have that person where it's just like, I know this person got my back.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like, I know this person got my back.
Yeah.
I feel safe in this person, like, having my back. I know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm safe because I got me. But then it's also a certain level of security and just confirmation, like, this person got my back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I agree with that.
One of the things I love that you said about, like, just like your journey of self-discovery and enduring yourself is these different questions that you had to ask yourself. And going back to like just hitting back on what you said in terms of like therapy and the importance of therapy within your marriage or the importance of therapy for yourself. Like therapy to me has always just been like purposeful dialogue to be able to help me to arrive at a place. And to be able to unthread some things, to be able to like embed some new things, right? Because that's the biggest thing. Like one of the people helped me, my writing partner, she's in therapy as well. And one of the things that she said that was clutch for me, she said, you know, like I'm removing things, but I have to be intentional about what I'm replacing it with. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we be so focused on like, okay, yeah, I gotta remove this. I gotta take this away from my life. But what are we adding in place of that? You know what I'm saying? Because if we're not adding in the right things, like, I mean,
you
like...
end up back at square one.
Exactly.
With something different.
So just as intentional as you have to be about removing those things, you have to be intentional about what you're going to be replacing them with.
Yeah.
And when you talked about just like the questions, I think that's one of the things that I love about therapy and my therapist, because she just be asking me some good ass questions that really help me to arrive at a place. And even like when I went on my trip, she was just like, okay, so what are some things that you want to take with you? And so I went through like the different things that I want to take with me, like just in terms of like my mindset and the intentionality behind things. And then she was like, okay, so what are some things that you want to leave behind, that, you know, like if this is what you want the trip to look like, this is the things that you have to leave behind in order to be able to reach that goal. And I think that was so profound to me, because a lot of times we not thinking about what
to leave behind.
Yeah, like what we need to unpack in order to be able to arrive.
To get where we need to go.
To me, questions are so profound. And they are keys that unlock doors for us. And if we don't ever have those questions presented to us, think about how many doors stay locked because we never got the opportunity to answer those questions.
Yeah.
So when you talked about like, I had to go and I had to ask myself certain questions, and you asking and answering those questions, those were unlocking doors.
Yes.
And if you had not asked yourself those questions, think about just how many doors would have stayed locked. So I definitely I absolutely track with you, and just in terms of like the therapy, and also in terms of just being able to ask yourself questions.
Yes.
Like I'm so
uncomfortable questions.
Yeah.
You know, therapy is so important, and it may take time. You know, therapy is the journey.
Yeah.
It may take time to find the right person for you.
Yes.
And you know, I remember when I first started my journey on therapy, this is how my mind worked, because I am an overthinker. The whole time my therapist is asking me questions, I'm sitting there asking myself questions about her. And I'm not asking them out loud. Like, she's asking me questions in my mind. I'm so distracted. I'm looking at her office. Like, who is she to ask me that? And what has she accomplished? Like, you know, like I'm like asking all types of questions in my head that I'm missing the point. You know what I mean? And so it took me like a couple of tries for therapy to work for me.
Yep.
Because I had to get out of my own mind.
You got to get out your own mind.
And I had to say, Jessica, you need this help.
Yeah.
And one other thing that was so profound that my therapist told me, besides asking me some of those questions that I had to get real with, was one time I was talking to my therapist, and I was like, I'm just so overwhelmed. My work, my husband again. And I'm just like tired. I'm over it. You know, she said a couple of words to me that changed my life forever. She said, Jessica, nobody coming to save you. Just like that. She was like, nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. You have to speak up when you're overwhelmed here. You have to tap out when you need to tap out.
Yeah.
You have to take the days off. Nobody is doing that for you.
Yeah.
You have to show up and rescue your own self.
Yeah. And I think
I was like, damn, you're right.
And it goes back to what you said, what you learned in high school. Like, you are your best advocate.
You are your best advocate.
Yeah.
And she was like, you are in this office venting and crying, and you have told no one. You are enduring this alone. when you can have help in different areas. That goes back to the strong women, thing. And so she was no one's coming to save you. And I think about that in any situation where I feel like I am enduring something that I either need to pivot, that I either need to change.
Yeah.
I go back to nobody's coming to save you. So how you gonna show up for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
Yeah.
If this job isn't recognizing you, if you're not getting the projects you need, what's that? They're not gonna save you.
Yeah.
How you gonna show up for you?
How you gonna show up for you?
How you gonna show up for you?
How you gonna show up?
Because you have to save yourself.
Yeah.
And so you got to get out this victim mentality that is up to someone else to curate your life. This is your life.
To curate your
life. You got to curate
your
life. It's not up to anyone else to curate a life for you that is fulfilling for you.
Yeah. Because only you know
you know that.
What's going to be fulfilling to you.
Only you know that. And so the moment for me of enduring myself that was so profound was, none of this makes me happy. You know what I mean? That was an aha moment to me that external things cannot bring you happiness.
Girl, I can't tell you how much you said a word when you said you have to endure yourself.
You have to endure yourself. And that doesn't go away.
Nah.
But you get better with yourself.
You do.
You learn yourself.
Yeah.
You appreciate yourself. You know what yourself needs. You honor yourself.
Yeah.
I can't tell you times that because I've learned to endure myself, I can't tell you times I've walked in spaces and I could feel that the space didn't honor myself. I'm like, this is not the space for me.
It's not the space for me.
This is not the space for me. It doesn't honor who I am.
Yeah.
I'm out.
You
know what I mean? And it doesn't even have to be a word said. I could feel it. I could walk through a door because I spent that time with myself.
Because you know yourself.
Because I know myself, and I'm already like, my spirit not connecting.
This ain't the right set. This ain't it. This ain't the set. We about to exit stage left.
I'm about to exit. And people can be speaking, it may even have nothing to do with the people, but my spirit is uncomfortable. And it's not an uncomfortable of enduring. It's uncomfortable that
it's conflicting.
It's conflicting.
It's conflicting with who you are.
It's conflicting.
Yeah.
And I got to dip.
Yep.
I got to dip. And so I honor that. Before I would not honor that. Yeah. I would stay too long. Yep. I would overwear my own welcome. You know what I mean? Like I would put myself through pain because I didn't honor who I was.
Yeah.
Now I can't do that to myself.
No.
I can't do that. And I teach my children now. I said, Layla, if someone is constantly being mean to you and not treating you how you know yourself deserve to be treated, you got to honor that. You got to exit that. You don't sit in pain for other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And honoring myself and spending time with myself has taught me that. So
I think that's a perfect segue into when do we stop enduring? In preparation for this trip, and I was thinking about this, I think when we should stop enduring is when we're suffering and it feels suffocating. It's suffocating us so much that we can no longer be the best versions of ourselves. There is no value there. Our why becomes compromised. Those values become compromised when we're feeling suppressed, when we're feeling oppressed, when the purpose has completely dissolved out of the situation. I think that is when it's like, okay, this season is over with and I need to stop enduring.
Yeah.
Because enduring is powerful, but there does come a point where we need to be checking in with ourselves and saying do I need to continue to endure here or do I need to pivot? Do I need to exit this season?
Wow, that's a good one. And I think I love what you said. Here's the part that I love what you said. When you are suffering and suffocating, when you feel like you can no longer come up for air. I feel like when you are enduring for a purpose, you should always still feel that air.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's always like, okay, I feel this. This hurts. But I know it's another side. When you are enduring too long, or when you are enduring a season and you need to pivot, you start to feel so suffocated that you no longer recognize your own self. You know what I mean? You no longer know thyself or recognize yourself, so much so that you can't even breathe.
Yeah.
To me, that is, I gotta pivot.
Yep.
Anytime I felt suffocated, I really like the word suffocate. Anytime I felt suffocated by something, whether it be a job, a friendship, it's like, oh, no, I got to make some changes. And you can suffocate your own self sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can suffocate. And like I said earlier, when it became a moment where I didn't like myself, that was a pivot. I didn't even like me. You know what I mean? So now I got to pivot. Now I got to start asking some deeper questions. So the suffocating part and the suffering part, to me, is an indication that it's time for some changes.
Because to your point, like when you said, like, I should always be able to breathe.
Yes.
Right? Like, breath is in us from the day that we are born to the day that we depart. That's the only thing that is constant.
Yeah.
You know, like everything else has the potential to change.
Yes.
Or everything else like has like your husband gonna be there with you to the end. Yeah. But he didn't start with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that breath, like it started with you and it will end with you. Anytime that breath is compromised, where you feel like you're suffocating, your airways are closing, right? Like then that's like how can I endure? Like what does my peace look like when I'm suffocating, when I have
I can't even
breath?
learn the lessons here because I'm so suffocated. I have so I love the suffocating, but I think the only thing I would add is when you are no longer honoring yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like at the essence of who you are.
Yeah.
And you know when you're not honoring yourself.
Yeah.
If you've done the work. You know, you got to do the work. But I think that's when it's time to pivot.
Yeah.
I
agree. And then, you know what I was thinking about, too? Because, like I said, like when it's no longer of value. But you have to be real mindful about what those values are. Because I can find value in security and safety, but that doesn't necessarily mean, right, that it's truly valuable to me. So, like, I could be at a job and it's still providing me security and safety. Like, it's still providing me a certain level of value.
Yep.
But is it providing me a certain level of value that is allowing me to operate at my highest level of self?
Yep.
Is it allowing for me to still be able to extend my purpose and make the impact that I know my life is intended to make?
Yep. Well, you hit it. That's deep right there, though, because I think sometimes we think that security and safety, we spend spaces and places in that space too long sometimes.
Yeah. Like it's an end all be all.
Because sometimes your next level may not be security.
Yep.
It may not be safe.
Talk to him.
You know, there's some risk.
There's risk. There's risk that has to be taken.
There's risk that have to be taken. And I had to tell myself, too, I caution myself or people when you always are taking safe and secure routes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to hit a roll of risk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you're worthy of the risk,
Because you're worthy of the risk.
Yeah.
And you never know your highest potential if you take no risk. There is no greatness out of safety and security.
Ooh, tell him again. There is no greatness out of safety and security. Yep. I love that.
You know, you gotta be able to take some risks. And so I love that you said that, you know, sometimes we can sit in safety and security for too long. Mm-hmm. And it hinders our fulfillment and our full potential on our lives.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, Jessica, well, you know, girl, look, I think we at the top. I think we at the top of this. I think we at the top of this mountain of enduring. Look, girl,
Did we make it?
We made it. We made it. Several hours later, we are at the top.
But that's how enduring take. It take a long time.
Enduring takes a long time, and I'm so incredibly grateful that I was able to take this trip with you because you truly know something about enduring. Obviously, you know, just in your life through this conversation, but then also like what you extended to get us here. You know what I'm saying? Like we finally were able to arrive.
For sure.
And it was an incredible trip. So I want to know though, why is Jessica's journey worth traveling?
Whew. Why is my journey worth traveling? Because I have purpose.
You do, Jessica.
I have purpose on my life.
You do.
And I want to speak about that really quickly.
Please speak on.
Because I used to attach purpose to big things. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to see an actress purpose, or it's easy to see, I don't know, an executive purpose. So I used to attach, like, my purpose isn't fulfilled until I become, like, I had a dream of being like a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. My purpose isn't fulfilled till I get there. But now I look at purpose very differently.
Tell us.
This is purpose.
This is,
you know what I mean? This is purpose. Had I not took that trip of enduring, I wouldn't be sitting on this couch. I wouldn't be sharing my story. So purpose is not always attached to these big, even though this is a big moment.
No.
But purpose isn't always attached to these big granular
milestones.
These big milestones.
These milestones. No.
There are little moments in your life that brings purpose.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I remember someone who acquaintance of mine. I used to share on social media. I struggle with how to use social media because I hate. I just hate always sharing the positive because I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah.
So I always share my journeys on social media. So when I got laid off twice, I shared those journeys. Like I've always been very transparent on social media. And I remember someone telling me when I was having a hard patch, like, the reason your life is hard is because you let everybody know on social all the bad things that you're going through. You share too much of your negative sides on social. You need to social media is only for the positives.
The flaunting.
The flaunting.
So
in so many words, she told me to stop sharing all of my...
Stop being authentic.
Yes. And I took that and I said, and so 1 minute I wasn't honoring myself. So I started to try to just share the highlight reel. It feels so superficial for me.
Yeah.
So then I went back to share my journey. And I remember when I finally got the job that I'm at now, because people have followed my journey for so long, because I had always been vulnerable about it. I would see people out and they would come up to me like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I mean, people were so proud of me. It was insane. Like, I'm so proud of you. You deserve that job.
Yeah. Because
I'm so happy you shared that. I went through the same moment so I would share moments on social media and people would DM me. People be struggling out here.
Yes.
Which y'all don't like. People be going through it.
Listen.
And anytime I would have a moment,
I be going through it.
Yeah,
we be going through it.
But anytime I have a moment of vulnerability or share my endurement on social, I always get a DM about how my sharing has impacted that person. So when I say that my journey is worth traveling, is because it's purpose. I'm not talking about big milestone moments. I'm talking about those little moments where I share a moment of vulnerability to someone. Those moments like we're having where we have an impactful, purposeful moment when things tried to stop us all day.
Yeah.
You know, enduring got us here.
Yeah.
Because we could have chopped up the tile and said, we'll do it next week.
Yeah.
Who would have known what my story would have been next week?
Right,
You know what I mean? So my journey is worth traveling because there's purpose.
There's purpose.
There's purpose. And purpose is not, I keep hitting this home because I struggle with this. Purpose is not always milestone moments.
No.
It's little moments in your life when you're sowing into something, sowing into someone else. Those are purposeful moments.
Purpose, like, it hit my spirit when you were talking. Like, purpose is impact.
Yes.
It's impact.
Yes.
So it's impact, and it could be impact in the simplest.
Yes.
Like, you could be walking into a restaurant, right, and just say queen to somebody who's having a horrible day.
Absolutely.
And just affirming the fact that she is queen, that made an impact on her. And you extended purpose. And that was a purposeful moment.
Absolutely.
You're living in your you're living your purpose. So to your point, it doesn't have to be these grandiose milestones.
Yes.
It's just impact.
Yes.
It's impact.
I love that. I love that.
It's impact.
It's impact. That's why my journey is worth traveling. Is conversations like these to impact and help those endure.
Yeah.
The journey of life.
That is worth traveling.
That is worth traveling.
And I just want to say that I'm so incredibly grateful. Just going back to what I said originally, in terms of the authenticity and the genuineness that you extend because of who you are. Because even going back to what you said, it felt so conflicting. There was a dissonance when I was just showing up and giving my highlight reel.
Yes.
I felt like I wasn't being my authentic self because the journey isn't just about the peaks.
Yes.
The journey is the valleys. The journey is the climb.
Yes.
And so I'm doing a disservice if I'm constantly just showing what the tops look like.
Absolutely.
And yes, that is something to celebrate, but there is more to the journey than just the tops.
Oh.
And what makes the journey worth traveling is getting through the valleys and getting to the climb so that I can get to the top. That's why my journey is worth traveling. Yes. Because I owe that to myself and I deserve that for myself.
Drops the mic. Because I owe it to myself. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Listen, I love everything that you extended. So for the people out there who are in this enduring season, Jessica, or maybe they're even scared to take the risk to endure, what are we saying to the J Crew to help them to know that the enduring is worth it on the journey?
The enduring is worth it on the journey. I'm going to have to steal from you.
Go ahead. Steal it.
Because you owe it to yourself.
Yeah.
We are all on this planet, in this earth, for a purpose.
Yeah.
And the purpose aren't always big milestones. The purpose isn't always accolades. The purpose is your existence. The purpose is what are you doing with the time that you're here. Mm-hmm. This is not a dress rehearsal.
Talk to him.
This is life. This is. And so you have to take the journey. You have to travel enduring so that you can give to the world what you were put on this earth to give.
Yep.
And if you don't take that trip, you are doing yourself a disservice. You honestly kind of being selfish a little bit.
You are, because you have no idea when you getting making that decision to endure. How it is going to not only create impact for yourself, but impact for others.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you how many times I've had a conversation with somebody and they told me how they decided to endure, and because they made a decision to endure, how it impacted my life.
Yes.
Because had they stopped, had they settled, had they robbed themselves of coming short of the glory, being 3 feet away from the gold, not only would have been a disservice to them, but everything
to others.
I was a benefactor of them enduring.
Absolutely. And we are. You would never be on this couch with this podcast if it wasn't someone else sharing their moments of enduring.
Listen, seriously.
You know what I mean?
Seriously.
And so when you choose to cut the journey short, when you choose to not do the hard questions, ask the hard questions, when you choose to not go inward, when you choose to not spend the time that you need to endure yourself, you are robbing yourself of a worthy life.
Yep. Of a fulfilling life.
Fulfilling life.
Yes.
And you will constantly chase what's next because you didn't spend the time and endure the time with yourself in your journey.
Yep.
You got to do it.
You got to do it.
You got to do it. You got to do it. The reward is greater.
The return on the investment for enduring. Yes, exactly. For enduring
is greater.
And enduring yourself, is so much greater.
It's so much greater. Everything, when you said earlier about doors unlocking, I love that metaphor. Everything unlocks once you take the time to endure yourself and then take the time to experience endurement in other areas of your life. Yeah. But when you start inward, everything just starts to unlock it. And it becomes a little easier.
It does.
It becomes just a little bit easier because you trust and you know yourself to get through it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So don't rob yourself.
Do not.
We are worthy of a good life.
Yes. We're not robbing ourselves. We just giving ourselves the best return on our investments, on our life. Yes. Jessica, thank you so much for taking this trip with me and climbing the mountain of endurance. We at the top. We made it.
Look at the sun shining on us.
We made it. That's a beautiful thing about enduring and getting to the tops of your mountain. The view is incredible.
The view is incredible.
Yep.
And now we at the top.
Yes.
We about to put on our shades.
Thank you so much. I could not have picked a better tour guide to guide us through and help us navigate to the top of our mountain as we endured. So thank you.
Oh, love it.
Until our next trip, J. Crew, peace and blessings.